What if your ultrasound could think, adjusting itself in real time to give clearer, faster, and more accurate diagnoses, without needing a highly trained expert? Right now, millions of medical scans depend heavily on operator skill. That means variability, missed details, and slower diagnoses. But what if AI could remove that uncertainty? In this video, we're diving into how adaptive AI is transforming ultrasound imaging, how it learns from data, optimizes image quality on the fly, and makes advanced diagnostics more accessible across the world. From improving patient outcomes to expanding healthcare access in underserved areas, this isn't just a tech upgrade, it's a shift in how medical imaging works. Let's break down how it works and why it might change the future of healthcare. Let's get into it. The future of healthcare is here.
Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to jump into today's topic because we are looking at what is literally a fundamental shift in medical technology. For decades, ultrasound has been the absolute backbone of medical imaging, right? I mean, it's safe, it's real-time, it's portable, it's cost-effective. But what if I told you that the way we've been processing these images all this time is actually leaving out a tremendous amount of absolutely critical data? Today, we're exploring how NVIDIA and researchers from Siemens Healthineers have basically teamed up to rethink ultrasound technology from the ground up, all using advanced AI. We're talking about a completely new reconstruction model called NVIDIA Raw2Insights US. So I want you to just sit with this question for a second. What if your ultrasound has been missing the full picture? It sounds a little mysterious, I know, but it actually highlights this massive hidden flaw in the standard ultrasound scanners that clinicians rely on literally every single day. We kind of naturally trust medical images implicitly, right? We assume they're perfectly objective windows into the human body. But as we're going to see, the traditional method of creating these images actually involves making some surprisingly broad assumptions. It ends up throwing away incredibly rich data before the doctor even looks at the screen. Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1. The Ultrasound Illusion. To really wrap our heads around the magnitude of this breakthrough, we first need to kind of break the illusion of what an ultrasound actually is and look at how current tech functions under the hood. We have to remember one fundamental thing. At its core, ultrasound is not an image. It's sound. It's a game of listening, not looking. What clinicians ultimately see on their monitors is actually just a mathematical reconstruction. It's a picture built from millions of tiny acoustic echoes bouncing back from inside the body. Think about how sound moves differently through, say, a glass of water versus a jar of honey. Well, the tissues in your body have similar variations. But in that traditional reconstruction process, the raw richness of how sound actually moved through your specific tissue gets simplified, compressed, or just completely lost. And here is exactly why that data goes missing. For decades, ultrasound images have been formed using this hand-engineered reconstruction pipeline. It immediately compresses those incredibly rich, raw sensor measurements to create the final image, which permanently discards vital acoustic data. But honestly, even more critically, it relies on some pretty major simplifying assumptions about physics. Specifically, it assumes a constant speed of sound throughout the body. It basically assumes that the physical density of my organs, your organs, and everyone else's are exactly the same. And, well, we know for a fact that simply isn't true. So this creates a massive paradigm shift. With the traditional pipeline, you're dealing with compressed images and a rigid, constant sound speed assumption. But the new Raw2Insights pipeline, it taps directly into the raw sensor data. Instead of relying on compressed stuff, it intercepts the signal way earlier in the process. And instead of assuming a constant speed of sound, it actually personalizes the math for every single patient. It's a fundamental, total change in how we capture medical data. Which leads us perfectly into Section 2, Learning from Raw Sound. This is exactly where the collaboration between NVIDIA and Siemens Healthineers brings advanced AI to the table to bypass those old bottlenecks. Raw2Insights is a class of AI models that learn directly from raw ultrasound sensor signals. Instead of working from those finished, heavily compressed images we just talked about, a model like NVIDIA Raw2Insights US captures the raw signals straight off the ultrasound probe. This means the AI is listening to the closest possible representation of how sound truly interacts with human tissue. And the result of that direct listening is absolutely incredible. The model generates a personalized map of sound speed for each patient, and it does the whole thing in a single AI pass. It dynamically corrects the image in real time based on the patient's unique biological makeup. What used to take complex, wildly time-consuming math that simply wasn't feasible for a live clinical setting is now handled instantaneously by the AI. It adapts to the physics of the individual. For a patient, this could literally mean the difference between catching a subtle anomaly early or completely missing it because a standard compressed ultrasound blurred it out. So, how do they pull this off? Let's get into Section 3, how the hardware works. Processing all that raw, high-bandwidth data in real time requires a seriously clever data journey in a clinic. Let's follow the data. It starts by extracting raw channel data directly from a clinical-grade Acusone Sequoia scanner. Now, normally, this data is trapped inside the machine because the bandwidth is just too massive. But here, they pull it out via DisplayPort. From there, it hits the HoloScan sensor bridge, traveling over high-speed Ethernet right to an edge AI system. The AI then works its magic with accelerated GPU inference and instantly streams that beautifully corrected, patient-specific image right back to the live feed. Now, the real secret sauce making this entire pipeline possible is the HoloScan sensor bridge, or HSB. Like I mentioned, extracting raw channel data is normally way too heavy for standard clinical scanners, but NVIDIA developed this open-source FPGA IP to allow for ultra-high bandwidth, low-latency data transfer. By pairing an Altera Agilex 7 FPGA kit with the NVIDIA HSB, they came up with this brilliant workaround called data over DisplayPort. It totally bridges the gap between the scanner and the immense computational power you need for AI. Once that data is packetized by the HSB and zips over Ethernet, it hits the NVIDIA HoloScan Edge AI platform. We're talking about heavy-hitter systems here, like the NVIDIA IGX Thor or DGX Spark. And to handle the actual AI inference, calculating that personalized speed of sound instantly, the data gets pushed right into the memory of a Blackwell-class GPU. This is high-performance, real-time workload management at its absolute finest. All right, zooming out a bit to look at the big picture. Section 4, the software-defined future. By treating the human body as raw acoustic beta, NVIDIA and Siemens Healthineers aren't just making one ultrasound machine a little better. They are literally establishing a new foundation for AI-powered diagnostics. And it gives us 3 massive capabilities. Thanks to that data over DisplayPort breakthrough, we get software-only integration, meaning we can accelerate existing medical devices without needing these huge, expensive hardware overhauls. We also get software-defined ultrasound, so machines can continuously improve through simple updates over time. And finally, modular expansion. Because that rich, raw ultrasound channel data is already sitting right there in the GPU memory, totally new AI models can be integrated seamlessly down the road. So the crucial point is really captured perfectly by the developers themselves. This is the shift from raw ultrasound channel data to actionable insight. We are finally moving away from this era of rigid assumption-based algorithms. We're entering a space where AI systems actively understand and adapt to the totally unique physics of every individual patient, radically reducing traditional imaging errors. Just to be totally clear on where this tech currently stands, this architecture is still in the investigational development phase. It is not cleared for or available for sale in the US or other countries just yet. But for the developers and researchers watching us right now, the models and datasets for NVIDIA Raw2Insights US are actually available right now over on Hugging Face, so you can start building on this today. I want to leave you with this final kind of provocative thought. If we can personalize medicine simply by listening to the raw physics of every unique human body, bypassing all those old assumptions entirely, how will treating the body as raw data fundamentally change the future of all medical diagnoses? What other hidden data is just sitting there waiting to be uncovered by AI? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Keep learning, stay curious, and I will see you in the next explainer.